Hey everyone, so today is a departure from the high-end stuff. I am going to the drugstore side. I've been hauling some stuff recently and I was gonna do like a whole drugstore haul, but then I decided to make the focus of this video really this new Physicians Formula foundation. It's the Physicians Formula, the Healthy Foundation. It has SPF 20, it has a brightening complex, and it says it's for all skin types. I was really excited to try this. There's not a lot to tell you. There's allegedly a whole bunch of interesting extracts that are supposed to brighten and moisturize and blah, blah, blah. There are cool toned shades, warm toned shades. Unfortunately, which is frustrating for me, is the lightest shade, this LC1, I believe, yes, only comes in the lightest cool one shade. There is no warm option. I will list all the relevant information, price, and all that in the description box. So what I thought I would do is apply this and then put on the rest of my face. I will stop in the process to highlight the products that I picked up that are new, but my entire face will be all drugstore. And then I'll check in later throughout the day and let you know how this baby is performing. So here we go. It did say in the instructions to shake the bottle. If you twist it, and it's a big doe foot applicator. And it smells like paint, like it really does. So anyway, here we go. I don't even know if this is gonna match up on my skin. I don't know how much to put on. Let's just put on a little on one side. I'm gonna use my go-to brush because if it doesn't work with my favorite tool, then that annoys me. So this is the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Flat Top Buffing Foundation Brush. I can never remember the whole name. Well, I'd say it's a match and that it has no coverage. Wow, it really does smell like paint. So it doesn't look like I have anything on. Let's load up a whole lot more. Let's shake it up a little bit more and let's really, not a lot comes out on the brush or applicator or whatever you want to call this thing. So it's really hard to load it up, and maybe I should be using the Beauty Blender, which I also have. Let's first try finishing it off with. Okay, loading it on like that does help. I would say this is not a very emollient formula. It doesn't glide over the skin like other foundations I've tried. Coverage is better when you load it up, so don't be stingy. Okay, I put on a second layer and I actually used my Beauty Blender to do it on this side of the face, and that came out even worse. It clings, I could see it clinging to my dry patches. It doesn't spread, it still smells like paint, and I am not sensitive to smell. It says it's supposed to be satin, medium to full coverage. I don't think so. And lightweight, yes, but the coverage is already patchy and I can kind of see that it might already be oxidizing on me. It feels dry, like it goes on feeling dry. It's very strange. And I can tell you, I am not a fan of this delivery system because not enough clings to, this reminds me of that Neutrogena one, not enough clings to the doe foot applicator for me to get enough off onto my hand. So I have to keep putting it on my face, dipping it back into the bottle. You know that I'm not one to be very concerned about germs. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. But this, if you're a germaphobe, this would make you nuts. It's supposed to have hyaluronic acid and vitamin A and all kinds of great things for your skin. It might. I'd rather have my skincare in my skincare. I'm gonna go ahead and keep on going with my rest of my face. So another thing I picked up in my recent haul was the Maybelline Master Camo color correcting pens. And the sales associate at Walgreens said this is their #1 seller. They have it in an apricot shade, which is really intended more for under the eyes, but this shade seemed to mimic the MAC Prep and Prime the most. I did get it started, I cheated a little. So I wanna give it a go because we are always looking for a drugstore dupe for that MAC Prep and Prime. It's not, the MAC Prep and Prime goes on very thinly. This feels a lot more thick, which it's not a bad thing necessarily if it has the same brightening properties. The only thing that would not work out for is a great property of the MAC Prep and Prime is because it's such a thin fluid, is you can put it on top of makeup to brighten later in the day, and I don't think this would work well. I'm not going to judge this too harshly because I'm putting this on top of foundation that I already know I'm not enjoying unless it gets better over time. It's okay. It's fine. It seems to be fine. And then another thing I picked up new from Maybelline is their Super Stay Better Skin Concealer with some kind of, it's got a blue top. It's called with Actilk Oil Free. Seems to be moisturizing. I picked up in the lightest shade 10. I don't think it's going to be bright enough for under my eyes, but let's give it a go. No. This is definitely, I know that there's some bright morning sunlight coming in, but I can tell you for a fact, this is not bright enough if you are very fair-skinned. I picked up a while ago the LA Girl Pro Conceal. Again, it was for my under eyes. It wasn't bright enough. And I'll use that just to touch up my face, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so normally this is the step where I powder, and I have been reaching for my Coty Airspun powder, which I cracked right down the side there. I need to just put it in a new container. But I'm kind of afraid to powder because everything is kind of, this is already patchy and dry. I'm gonna do the lightest of light dustings just so that the next step doesn't cling. And I will say that I really like to over powder where my makeup tends to rub off, which is here and here, because that's where I rest my hands during the day. So just in that area. And then we'll do a tiny little bit under the eyes. I close my eyes for this. I wear contacts and I do not want this in my eyes. Bronzer can hide a multitude of sins. That's not new, so let me just slap on the Physicians Butter Bronzer and then we'll be back. Something I did pick up, another thing from L'Oreal, I did want their new bronzer, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I went to 3 stores, is the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Glow Nude. I got it in the shade Moonkissed, 4 shades, and I've been swatching them and they look really pretty and creamy, but they are very dry to the touch. So I have low expectations. I'm gonna go in with this kind of pink shade. I think it's a really pretty everyday shade. Well, it's between the pink and the champagne. You know what, I'm wearing purple today, so let's go with pink. That's my reasoning. I mean, you know, it's not bad. It's actually pretty nice. It's nice. Let's keep it real. I'm not gonna be reaching for this. It's powdery. I'm really having to keep reapplying it. And this was not inexpensive. All right, for blush, there are a few options. I have a new Milani blush that I've been talking about, but I finally picked up another shade in the Physicians Formula Butter Blush. This is Rosy Pink, which I didn't own yet, and I know I own like 10 of these, same shade basically, but I like what I like. And the difference between the butter blushes and the Milani new like color wheel blushes, I think, is that these don't have any kind of, not that the Milani blush has glitter, but it does shimmer more. This is just more of a sheen to the cheek, like a glow. So, which I prefer. I'm all rosy cheeked, hence the name, Rosy Pink. All right, I'm gonna put on my primer, do my brows. That's nothing new. I'm gonna do Wet n Wild Photo Focus Primer for my eyelids. I'm gonna do the NYX Micro Pencil for brows and then finish it off with the NYX Brow Mascara, and then we'll talk eyeshadow. I saw these at the grocery store, actually. These are these new little quads by Almay, and I picked up a really light shade, so I'm not expecting great things. This is the shade, the quad 120, Never Settle, but I love these little bricks. They're adorable. And again, I did open it at least because, you know, drugstore packaging, they have it wrapped up like Fort Knox. So I did touch it and they're very soft and creamy. This is just a really light kind of everyday neutral. So let's just go in with the lightest matte and kind of put that all over the eye to start. We'll see how this goes. These don't kick up really any powder. That's kind of nice. So I'm taking the darker matte shade, it's basically a mid-tone brown, and I'm starting with it in the crease. I'm gonna bring this all over the eyelid. Just bring it down. I do like the formulation. Obviously I picked really light shades, so I'm not gonna give up on this line. I may pick up a couple. At this price, it would be, you know, very reasonable to pick up another quad with slightly deeper complementary colors. You can mix and match a little bit. You know what, I'm just gonna take an old foam brush and run this under the eye as well. With a flat shader brush, I'm gonna take the shade in the upper right corner and kind of just pat it in the middle for some dimension. There's nothing happening here. There's just no, I look like I have no face. So I'm gonna take my E25 and back into the butter bronzer and just define a little bit, because we need, I just look like I'm like teeth and eyebrows. And then for eyeliner, no surprise, CoverGirl Queen Vivid Impact in Truffle. All right, I'm gonna curl my lashes and then I'm gonna slap on the Voluminous Paradise in Waterproof, which I do like. I don't love, I am not like, I don't think it's the next thing since sliced bread, but it's a nice drugstore mascara. I'm going to line my lips. I've been doing this a lot lately. I find that as I'm aging, I'm losing the edges of my lips. It's fun. So I'm using a lip liner I picked up in Canada when we stopped there on our cruise this summer, and it's by Annabelle, and it's Natural Rose. So just a quick little outline. And since I'm just gonna wear gloss, I'm gonna smudge it a little so there's no obvious line. This is from Revlon. I picked it up because it reminded me a lot of my beloved Clarins Instant Light Lip Perfector. Spoiler alert, I tried this last night. It ain't that. It's the Revlon Kiss Plumping Lip Cream. I guess I should have read it more closely. I don't want it to be plumping. I don't like that feeling. And there is that minty tingling feeling. I picked it up in the shade Fresh Petal. There's a nude one that might be closer, but to me this looked the most like the packaging of my favorite #1 shade in the Clarins. So anyway, this is much more opaque. Look at that. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just one of the things I liked about the Clarins is that because it's not opaque, you don't need a mirror, you just slap it on and it looks amazing. And it's showing every dry patch on my lips, which are admittedly quite dry because it's cold. So that's my face. We are going to brave the cold, and I'm not doing my hair today because I'm going to be putting a beanie on. We're gonna brave the cold and take the dogs to the dog park because they don't care, they have fur. And we'll see how this holds up. I will check in with you throughout the day and I'll let you know how it goes. I just took my hat off and it didn't wear off. Like it didn't rub off, so that is good. Not the most flattering of angles here, but can you see it's like kind of dry. It's almost like a matte finish. It's clinging to the dry patches here and here, which a lot of foundations do as the day wears on. But it's, what time is it? It's a little afternoon. I've had this on 3 hours, so it should not be this bad already. It is 12 hours since I put on the foundation and everything else. And final thoughts on my first impression. This is one of those few foundations that actually improves as the day goes on. So that's a positive. The concealer, not so much, that's all worn off. I'm gonna be very forgiving around this area because Rowdy licked off my face, basically. He's very loving today. So this is all dog salivaed off. I have had better and I've had a lot worse. I would say that there are a lot of options at the drugstore, and this is $15, $14.95. And for the price of what it is, I think you can do better. I still love the CoverGirl foundations a lot better. The Milani, if you can get the right shade, I prefer. I can't recommend this. It may be better for combo to oily. If you have very dry skin, it definitely clings to the dry patches. It's settled in this line here, although it did get better as the day wore on, which is very odd. I'd say overall, I'm gonna keep wearing everything except the face, the foundation, the concealer, the corrector. Not gonna be reaching for those, kind of disappointed. That's it for my drugstore run. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna now wash my face, wash my hair, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.